My name is Leo Vance, and for most of my life, I lived exactly as my name implied. I worked in the security sector, right up until an overtime-induced heart attack ended my first life. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself inside a trashy web novel, one my girlfriend had forced me to read while laughing at how bad it was. Now, I wasn't just reading it. I was living in it. Worse, I had become a member of the laughably incompetent security department of a massive corporation. A background character so badly written that the author had practically nerfed him into oblivion. The plot itself was an insult to intelligence and to my profession. The heroine was your textbook second-chance romance protagonist. In the first half of the story, she treated the male lead like dirt. In the second half, she didn't really have a change of heart. She simply discovered he was far more powerful and wealthy than she'd realized and immediately launched into a humiliating, all-cost redemption arc, groveling to win him back. But the most absurd part? Her ability to materialize anywhere she wanted, as if she had a teleportation cheat code. Julian Croft, CEO of Croft Corporation, could be in his office, his private elevator, even his personal garage, and somehow she'd be there already. The corporation's security was a complete joke. It had the access control of a public restroom. It was an insult I could not abide. A fundamental challenge to my professional expertise. As luck or fate would have it, my new character's immediate supervisor resigned in disgrace after some bizarre incident. Honestly, what even was this plot? Drawing on the cutting-edge security knowledge from my past life and a surprisingly decent resume attached to this new body, I stepped forward. I drafted a comprehensive security upgrade proposal and presented it directly to Julian Croft himself. As he reviewed the document, a strange expression crossed his face. For a fleeting moment, he looked relieved. He waved a hand dismissively. "You have full authority. Tell me what resources you need." Perfect. A boss I could work with. I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. To hell with the plot and its reality-bending nonsense. One rage and rebirth. Leo Vance. For all 35 years of my first life, that name had been my mission. After an honorable discharge from the Army Special Forces, I climbed the corporate ladder until I became the lead technical consultant for a top-tier private security firm. I designed security systems for projects of national importance. My entire philosophy rested on 3 pillars: order, rules, zero fail tolerance. Then came the end. After a 72-hour marathon session designing a new security blueprint for a multinational enterprise, my world went black. I collapsed at my desk. My last coherent thought, as consciousness faded, was, the physical isolation protocols for the core server haven't been finalized. Some indeterminate time later, I was jolted awake by a shrill female voice. "Do you have any idea who I am? I'm Julian's girlfriend, the future Mrs. Croft. You dare try to stop me? I'll have Julian fire every single one of you." My eyes snapped open. I was standing in a cavernous, gleaming lobby that screamed obscene wealth, dressed in a cheap, ill-fitting security guard uniform. Before me stood a young woman in a Chanel suit, clutching a Hermes bag, jabbing a finger in the receptionist's face. Her makeup was flawless, but her expression was twisted with rage. Several other guards in identical uniforms hovered nearby, wringing their hands. "It's Miss Morris again. What do we do?" The last guy who stopped her, Kevin, got chewed out by the director of admin. Mr. Croft didn't say anything, but the message was clear. But the CEO explicitly said he didn't want to see her. Man, I hate this job. A foghorn blasted inside my skull as memories that weren't mine flooded in. I had been reincarnated, dropped directly into the world of that god-awful second-chance romance novel my girlfriend had made me read and mock with her. Me, a security expert, reduced to playing gatekeeper in a story built on nonsense. I'd forgotten most details, but the premise was burned into my mind. The heroine, Sophie Morris, was vapid and cruel. She endlessly humiliated the male lead, Julian Croft, while fawning over another man, the charming, sensitive other guy. When that man turned out to be a con artist, and Julian's true alpha billionaire status was revealed, She had an epiphany and launched into a shameless, relentless campaign to win him back. And the most infuriating part? Security was purely decorative. Sophie Morris bypassed physical logic entirely, appearing wherever Julian was, his office, private dining room, garage. And now here I was, a low-level security team lead at Croft Corporation's global headquarters. The original Leo Vance had been a spineless yes-man, constantly trapped between orders to keep Sophie out and Sophie's determination to force her way in. As I watched the chaos, listened to my colleagues complain, and relived the humiliations buried in this body's memories, something inside me snapped. A firestorm of pure, unfiltered rage erupted in my soul. What a monumental disgrace! A Fortune 500 company with security worse than a corner store in some sleepy Midwest town. Was the CEO's executive suite a public park? Come and go as you please? What kind of idiotic writing was this? While I was internally combusting, Sophie Morris finally broke through the receptionist's resolve and made a beeline for the CEO's private elevator bank, stilettos clicking with purpose. Oh, my voice came out as a low growl, but it carried authority, forged in conflict. She stopped short and turned to glare at me. Are you talking to me? Who the hell do you think you are, telling me to halt? I stepped forward, placing myself squarely between her and the elevator. Ramrod straight, eyes sharp as a hawk. The sheer force of my presence seemed to drain sound from the bustling lobby. Following standard protocol, I spoke in a flat monotone. Ma'am, please present your visitor's badge or appointment confirmation. I don't need an appointment to see Julian, she shrieked. You must be new here. Get out of my way. As per Croft Corporation security regulations, I continued calmly. No individual without a confirmed appointment, verified at the front desk and granted explicit clearance, may enter the executive levels. If you do not have an appointment, please exit the building or wait in the designated guest lounge while I contact the CEO's executive assistant to determine whether they are willing to receive you. Her face flushed crimson. Every other time she'd come here, guards had hesitated, then folded. What was wrong with this one? I'm warning you, she hissed. If you don't move, you'll be unemployed by sundown. My employment is managed by the Croft Corporation Security Department in conjunction with Human Resources, I replied evenly. My termination would be subject to company policy and labor laws. Until such a time, my duty is to protect corporate assets and personnel. I didn't move. Instead, I tapped the indicator light on the body camera clipped to my chest. Your actions are being recorded. I am issuing a final warning. Do not attempt to breach a security checkpoint, or I will be forced to take further measures. She froze. Her usual tactics, tantrums, tears, emotional blackmail, were useless. The man in front of her was a machine, countering emotion with procedure. The pressure I radiated made her skin crawl. Trembling with rage, but unwilling to challenge me physically, she finally spat. You'll regret this. Then she stormed out of the lobby. Silence fell. Everyone stared at me, as if I'd grown a second head. The receptionist whispered, Leo, that was amazing. But what if she complains to Mr. Croft? I adjusted my collar. I was performing my duty. On what grounds could she complain? If a company punishes its security staff for enforcing security, I said evenly, then that company fundamentally misunderstands what security is. I scanned the team. Everyone, back to your posts. From now on, all similar incidents will be handled according to standard operating procedure. If the sky falls, I added calmly, I'll hold it up. 2. As fate would have it, that very afternoon, a minor security incident occurred. A representative from a partner company got into a shouting match at the front desk over a scheduling mix-up. It was quickly de-escalated, but it looked bad. Even more fortuitously, the director of security, a timid old man skilled only at looking the other way and reading the room, was harshly reprimanded. Not just for this incident, but for his chronic failure to manage special cases like Sophie Morris. Humiliated, he resigned. This was it. I didn't hesitate. Using the internal network, I emailed the CEO's office directly, bypassing multiple layers of management. Attached was a document I'd worked on all night. a comprehensive threat analysis and security system upgrade proposal for Croft Corporation's global headquarters. In it, I professionally and ruthlessly dissected over a dozen critical vulnerabilities. Ambiguous access control levels. Useless keycard readers. A visitor management system that was pure theater. Surveillance blind spots with slow response times. Non-existent emergency protocols. Poorly trained personnel. A chaotic chain of command. I cited real-world examples for each flaw, including Sophie Morris's repeated breaches, backed by logs, footage, and timestamps. I concluded with an absurdly detailed upgrade plan covering hardware overhauls, software integration, personnel retraining, a complete rewrite of corporate security policy. I didn't expect much. Jumping the chain of command was a cardinal sin. But the next morning, I received a call from the CEO's chief executive assistant. I was summoned to the top floor. It was my first time meeting Julian Croft. He sat behind a vast minimalist desk, dressed in a perfectly tailored dark suit. Handsome, but shadowed by deep weariness and chilling indifference. He tapped a printed copy of my report, sharp eyes appraising me as I entered. The atmosphere was heavy. The executive assistant stood silently nearby. "You wrote this," Julian said. His voice was pleasant, low, and utterly devoid of warmth. "Yes, Mr. Croft." My posture was perfect. Respectful, but not submissive. "The case studies," he continued, "particularly the details regarding Ms. Morris's repeated intrusions. Are these accurate?" Something flickered in his eyes. Annoyance? Relief? 100% accurate, sir, I answered. Front desk logs, surveillance footage, and multiple security staff can corroborate everything. All relevant body cam and security footage has been archived for your review. Airtight. Julian fell silent, fingers drumming against the desk. I noticed his gaze occasionally drifted, fixating on empty space. His brow furrowed, as if he were seeing something invisible. "Is the boss okay?" I wondered. An eye condition? And that was when I realized this world was about to change. A moment later, Julian's focus returned to Leo. "Your proposal has a significant budget," he said. "Security is an investment, not an expense, sir," Leo replied without hesitation. "The financial and reputational damage caused by even a single major security breach would far exceed this budget. This system won't just prevent unauthorized entry. It will safeguard corporate intelligence, protect executive personnel, and streamline our response to any crisis. I believe the return on investment is self-evident." Leo was completely in his element. Another short silence followed. Julian's eyes drifted away again, as if he were distracted by a ghost hovering in the air. "Yep, definitely an eye problem," Leo concluded. "Poor guy." Then Julian made his decision. "Fine. Effective immediately. You are the acting director of security," he said calmly. "You will have full authority to implement this project. Any resources you require, clear them through my assistant, Lynn." He paused. "I have only one condition. I want it done fast, and I want it done right. I don't want to see any more unauthorized individuals in places they shouldn't be." "Understood," Leo replied. "You can count on me, sir." Mission accepted. Joy surged through Leo so powerfully he nearly threw a military salute. He snapped to attention, barely restraining himself. Julian looked momentarily taken aback by the crisp, formal response, then waved him away. Leo suppressed his excitement and exited the office with a steady, measured pace. The moment the heavy door clicked shut behind him, he thought he heard a very faint, almost inaudible sigh of relief. With a blank check from the top, Leo immediately launched a campaign of radical reform. His first move was a personnel overhaul. He convened a meeting of the entire security staff and ruthlessly let go of the old-timers who were out of shape, incompetent, or spent their days sucking up to management. Then he headhunted a new wave of fresh talent from military veteran networks and professional security firms. He implemented mandatory, rigorous training programs covering standard operating procedures, emergency drills, hand-to-hand defensive tactics, de-escalation communication, proper use of body cameras, and even how to handle media inquiries. "Our job is to provide security, not to play favorites," he announced. "From now on, there is only one authority here, the rulebook. No exceptions. Anyone caught slacking or bending the rules will answer directly to me." With the CEO's backing, he raised the base salary for the security team and tied it directly to performance reviews. Exceptional work was rewarded with hefty bonuses. Negligence meant immediate termination. Morale and professionalism across the department skyrocketed overnight. His second move was a hardware blitzkrieg. Leo personally drafted the schematics and supervised every installation. Access control overhaul. Executive floors and other critical zones were secured with a new 3-factor authentication system. Iris scanners, dynamic PIN codes, and temporary clearance issued through a secure employee mobile app. No authorization? Not even a fly was getting through. Fire escape doors were fitted with pressure sensors and silent alarms that triggered both the central command console and patrol guards' handheld devices if a door was held open for more than 10 seconds. Total surveillance coverage. The building was blanketed with new high-definition cameras, eliminating blind spots in entrances, hallways, elevator lobbies, and the parking garage. An AI-powered behavioral analytics system was integrated, automatically flagging abnormal activity, running, loitering, unauthorized gatherings, and alerting the command center in real time. Command center modernization. The security office was transformed into a state-of-the-art command center staffed 24/7 by a 2-person team. A massive video wall displayed every camera feed alongside real-time alerts. The communications network was directly linked to every guard on patrol and the front desk, increasing dispatch efficiency tenfold. Digital visitor management. All visitors were now required to be registered at least 2 hours in advance by the department they intended to visit. After approval by department secretary or higher, the system generated a unique QR code. Visitors scanned the code at the front desk to verify their identity and received a temporary access card programmed with permissions restricted strictly to their meeting location and public areas. Every visit was digitally logged. Trying to sneak in was now impossible. His third move was procedural reconstruction. Leo authored an inch-thick security management Bible, detailing standard operating procedures for every conceivable scenario. Unauthorized entry attempts, a strict 3-step process. Polite refusal, official warning with body cam recording active. If non-compliant, immediate physical restraint and notification of the NYPD. Individuals claiming to be relatives of senior executives, treated as unauthorized visitors without appointments. The relevant executive assistant would be contacted immediately for internal verification. All claims were to be ignored. Surprise media inquiries, politely escorted to the designated reception area. Public relations contacted immediately. No confrontation. No unauthorized comments. In just 1 month, under Leo's relentless and methodical campaign, Croft Corporation's headquarters was transformed from a porous sieve into an impenetrable, process-driven fortress. Employees were startled at first, but after experiencing the palpable increase in safety and order, praise poured in. It wasn't long before Sophie Morris returned. She chalked up her previous failure to bad luck and a new hire who didn't know any better. She learned the name of a partner company from some hapless source and tried to bluff her way in by posing as one of their employees. At the front desk, however, the company name she gave didn't match any scheduled appointments. The receptionist, fresh from Leo's boot camp, smiled warmly, like a sunrise, but delivered the rejection with diamond-hard resolve. "I'm so sorry, ma'am, but I can't find a record of your appointment. Perhaps you could contact the person you're here to see and have them register you in the system." When Sophie tried to argue, the receptionist simply pressed a button. 2 imposing guards appeared at her side and politely escorted her out. Sophie wanted to scream, but the sight of the gleaming camera dome on the ceiling and the red recording light on the guard's chest made her swallow her rage and leave. Somehow, she managed to obtain a low-level employee's ID card, whether through persuasion or theft. This time, she was smarter. She avoided the main entrance and tried sneaking in through a service elevator in the underground parking garage. Her plan failed instantly. The stolen card lacked clearance for both the elevator and executive floors. The moment she swiped it, an alarm blared in the command center. Alert. Low clearance ID, attempting to access core sector A17. Leo, monitoring the system, smirked. Alpha team, send 2 to check it out. Sophie was still furiously swiping the card when 2 guards appeared behind her. Ma'am, may we see your company ID? One glance confirmed the photo wasn't her. The guard's tone hardened. Ma'am, unauthorized use of an employee ID is a serious breach of company policy. We are confiscating this card. Your actions have been recorded. Please leave the premises immediately, or we will contact the police. Stunned, Sophie could only watch as they took the card and escorted her out again. Furious, she decided on a direct approach. She would wait for Julian at his reserved parking spot. She dressed impeccably and rehearsed a tearful, apologetic speech. But the moment her car entered the garage, its license plate was automatically flagged as an unauthorized vehicle loitering in a restricted zone. As soon as she stepped out and approached Julian's spot, motion-activated lights flared to full brightness and a high-resolution camera zoomed in. Command Center, we have an unauthorized individual loitering near the CEO's vehicle in P3. Behavior is suspicious. Activate emergency lighting in P3. Dispatch patrol car. Launch drone for Overwatch. Notify the CEO's assistant. Advise Mr. Croft to delay departure or use the B2 elevator exit. Instead of Julian Croft, Sophie was greeted by an electric security cart with flashing lights and the buzzing whine of a quadcopter hovering overhead. This time, the guard's language was stern. Ma'am, you are trespassing and potentially attempting to access confidential corporate materials. Please leave immediately, or we are authorized to use force and will have you arrested. The drone circled her like a mechanical vulture while a guard filmed her with his bodycam. She froze, caught between terror and fury. Just then, Julian's Rolls-Royce glided silently past her section and disappeared into the B2 elevator entrance. No. Julian, wait for me, she screamed, trying to run. The guards blocked her path. Leo's voice crackled through the radios, cold, flat, and unmistakable. Final warning. If she doesn't move, call the NYPD. 3 minutes later, a patrol car arrived. After a brief explanation, the officers agreed that while corporate espionage might be a stretch, she was clearly trespassing and disturbing the peace. And so, to Sophie Morris's shrieking disbelief, under the curious gaze of dozens of Croft Corporation employees, she was placed in the back of a police car and taken to the precinct for a lecture. Julian Croft's world became quiet. Too quiet. Life was undeniably more peaceful. The tearful, ghost-like figure that used to haunt his every move was gone. His productivity improved. His mood stabilized. But something felt wrong. It wasn't just Sophie's absence. The entire company had become orderly, almost excessively so. Every process was seamless. Every employee efficient. Objectively good. Emotionally sterile. More confusing was the drastic change in the text, scrolling through his vision. Words from another world only he could see, known as the comments. Before, they were annoying, but engaged. Here we go again. She's back and brought her audacity. I'll bet $5 she throws coffee or cries. Run, Julian, run. The cringe is coming. She's awful, but damn, the CEO is hot. Comment section better than the story. Now, daily mission, watch the heroine fail. 1/1 complete. Did she get past security today? Nope. That security guy is a total NPC. Plot stalled for 8 days. This is boring. If she can't cause trouble, give us corporate drama. Hostile takeover? Anything? Julian has stared at the same spreadsheet for 10 minutes. I'm out. Heroine is trash. Security is OP. Author, please nerf. Paging devs. The plot is stuck. Is the head of security a game-breaking bug? Julian leaned back slowly, and for the first time, he wondered whether order itself had become the problem. Julian blinked. So this was the price of peace and quiet. His world had become boring. The comments were complaining again, saying the story was broken, saying the plot had collapsed. And that name kept appearing over and over again. Head of Security. Julian frowned slightly and pressed the intercom on his desk. "Lynn," he said. "That new head of security, Leo Vance. How is he doing?" Lynn's voice came back immediately, full of unmistakable admiration. "Mr. Croft, Director Vance is exceptionally effective. The security level of the entire building has been elevated beyond measure. Employees report feeling incredibly safe." She hesitated for a fraction of a second. "He is, however, well, a bit of a zealot. No exceptions for anyone." Julian mulled that over. "Bring me all of his recent work reports," he said, "especially those regarding his interactions with Ms. Morris." When the files arrived, Julian read them slowly. They were detailed, time-stamped, exhaustive. Every single one of Sophie Morris's attempts to enter the building was chronicled. Time, location, method, and the precise way it had been shut down. His expression grew complicated. The language in the reports was clinical, professional, completely devoid of emotion. And yet, together, they painted a picture of absolute, crushing efficiency. 9:47. Subject attempted to tailgate an employee through the East Side turnstiles. Flagged by facial recognition system and intercepted. 14:15. Subject located in parking, level B1, attempting to approach a vehicle. Patrol discovered and escorted subject from the premises. Surveillance of the area has been increased. 10:03. Subject taken into police custody following repeated violations and failure to comply with security directives. Follow-up pending. Julian lowered the reports and glanced at the comments floating in the air. Security director is a legend. This guy needs to write a book. Did another transmigrator show up? This is a pro. An absurd thought slowly began to form. Could it be that the reason his world had become boring, the reason the plot had collapsed, the reason the comments were in full-blown revolt, was this astonishingly competent director of security? Julian summoned Leo Vance to his office once again. Leo assumed it was a routine progress review and brought along his latest security optimization plans. "Mr. Croft, you wanted to see me?" Julian ignored the plans completely. Instead, he tapped the thick stack of incident reports concerning Sophie Morris. He stared at Leo, his gaze intense, occasionally flicking upward toward the empty air around Leo's head. "Director Vance," Julian said slowly. His tone weighted with something Leo couldn't quite place. "It's been very quiet around here lately." "Yes, sir," Leo replied crisply. "The new security systems are performing above expectations. We have successfully neutralized the vast majority of security risks and unauthorized access events." "Yes," Julian said carefully. "And Ms. Morris, in particular, hasn't succeeded in getting in for quite some time." "According to my records," Leo replied immediately, "Ms. Morris has made 7 attempts to breach security in the past month. All were successfully intercepted. These resulted in 3 verbal warnings, 2 physical escorts, 1 confiscation of a stolen access card, and 1 instance of police intervention due to the severity and repetition of the offense." The data rolled off his tongue flawlessly. A heavy silence filled the office. Julian seemed to be listening to something only he could hear. Then he took a deep breath and gestured vaguely at the empty space near Leo's shoulder, where a torrent of comments was furiously scrolling. Julian's expression became an impossible mix of relief, curiosity, frustration, and sheer absurdity. "The plot has completely derailed," he said slowly. "The audience is bored to tears. The comments are having a meltdown. And the heroine is now on a first-name basis with the local police precinct." He looked Leo straight in the eyes. "Is all of this truly your doing?" Leo froze for a brief second. He had no idea what his boss meant by plot, audience, or comments. But he understood the heart of the question. The CEO was acknowledging his success. Leo squared his shoulders. His face lit up with the pure, unfiltered pride of a true professional. His voice rang out with conviction. "Sir, the strict enforcement of duty, the preservation of corporate safety and order, and the neutralization of all potential threats are the sacred obligations of the security department. It does not matter who the individual is or what their objective may be. In the eyes of our security protocols, everyone is equal. This success is the direct result of my team's tireless efforts. Thank you for the recognition, sir. Julian stared at him. He looked at the man, radiating safety first and rules above all. Then at the comments, which had exploded into chaos. He admitted it. The madman admitted it. I kneel. This guy is the real protagonist. The story is officially dead. Another transmigrator. He's playing on a different level. Slowly, deliberately, Julian raised a hand and covered his face. After a long moment, his muffled voice drifted through his fingers. That's all, Director Vance. You've done an excellent job. Keep it up. You're dismissed. Yes, sir. Mission accomplished. Leo spun on his heel and marched out with a powerful, confident stride. He felt deeply satisfied. See? He thought. The boss was so moved by my performance, he didn't even know what to say. True professionalism always won in the end. After the door closed, Julian Croft stared at the still raging storm of comments, and for the first time, felt genuine doubt about the nature of his reality. So the solution to a brain-dead, lovesick heroine wasn't a smarter hero. It was hiring a security director who was pathologically good at his job. Meanwhile, Leo Vance, completely unaware of the cosmic narrative he had just shattered, returned to his command center. He gazed at the orderly matrix of camera feeds on the video wall and nodded in satisfaction. Professional security, he murmured. The ultimate cure for bad writing, plot holes, and general stupidity. System stable. All threats contained. Perfect. As for heroines, plots, and comments, what were those? Were they more important than firewalls and access control systems? The legend of Croft Corporation's impenetrable security spread quickly. Soon Leo was famous. Other corporations, wealthy families, and even government agencies sent representatives to observe and learn from his methods. It turned out there were many powerful people, men and women alike, who were utterly fed up with being harassed by persistent individuals. Leo seized the opportunity. After a successful tenure at Croft Corporation, he resigned and founded his own elite security consulting firm, Vance Security Solutions. They specialized in bespoke security systems and services for major enterprises, high-net-worth families, and public institutions. Through skill and relentless effort, Vance Security Solutions rapidly became a titan in the industry. And I, Leo Vance, became a celebrated entrepreneur, a legend in the world of security.